Steam is ironing out the kinks.
And Amazon is putting out its own games.
Riot is back to writing letters.
And why Destiny 2 is the best thing since keyboard and mouse.
I'm Sam Chen.
And I'm Paul Mooney.
All these stories and more free features than an Amazon Prime membership. Stick around. You're watching the Nerdy News Roundup.
We begin the show with Heroes of the Storm, Blizzard's attempt at an easy mode League of Legends. After a rough year, including the disbanding of the 2015 World Championship team, Blizzard is pulling some tricks out of Riot's playbook. These include the formation of the Heroes Global Championship program, similar to League of Legends Championship Series, planned annual events, and a promotional regulation system. Sam, we'll know more at BlizzCon in November, but what do you think of easy mode taking the easy way out?
You know, I think when it comes to Heroes of the Storm, and really any game that's taking an easy mode for a MOBA, I think it makes a lot of sense because they're just looking at it from the standpoint of making it easier for other players to enter, maybe form some teams, get some competitive play going. I don't think their attempt should be to take league teams and make them play Heroes of the Storm. So if they're just taking the structure of a league that's already been built out and proven to be successful, I think that's fine. I mean, that's what other sports have done in the past.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Like, you know, the CFL and the NFL have a lot of direct parallels in the way they have their things. But it's because the NFL is proven. I mean, before the NFL, when they had the two different leagues and stuff like that, where things were still getting figured out, you know, that kind of parity shows that when you have something that's successful, you don't necessarily say, oh, that's nice, I'm going to keep doing my own thing, even though we're playing the same kind of game. So really, it's just good modeling after a system that's successful.
Right. And the thing with the promotion and regulation, I didn't understand that wasn't something Heroes was already doing, right?
Yeah, me either.
So the basic concept is the same as like Premier League and obviously for League, but basically the best teams in your lower level league go up. The worst teams in your higher level league go down. And so you always have this like exchange back and forth of like teams getting a chance at the big league, so to speak.
Right.
I think it makes perfect sense to me. And it seems like there's a lot of basic stuff where you look at Blizzard and you say, okay, this is a company who doesn't have a strong, stellar track record with esports. They're really kind of firming it up now for the first time with Overwatch. Before, they weren't doing team-based games. They kind of just stumbled upon different things. Mm-hmm. Now, to get a real team-based system in and make everything work, they're going to need to set up a system like this. So I think it's a good way to do it.
Well, it's evolution, yeah. They're putting themselves together. They're learning as they're going, and they're trying to make adjustments on the fly. Good for them.
Amazon's shaken up the game world a lot in the past 2 years. 20% off pre-orders for Prime members, buying Twitch, licensing and then opening up the Crytek engine, and even scooping up some game designers. Now we finally understand what that's been about, as Amazon gives us a peek behind the curtain at TwitchCon, announcing 3 games they've been developing. New World, an open-world game about colonizing a supernatural 17th century North America with deep Twitch integration. Crucible, a battle to the last survivor on a hostile alien world with a playable god character a la Hunger Games. And Breakaway, a MOBA-like sports brawler. Paul, will Amazon finally be able to fill that Konami gap in the gaming world, just with more Twitch integration?
Well, they got to bring on Kojima to fill the Konami gap. That's
hey, there's time for that.
He's already signed with Sony, though.
Amazon, the Netflix of games. Thank you.
No, I think this is a good thing. I think Amazon's foray into gaming and engagement is actually really a good thing. And it especially makes a lot of sense for them because that means they're exploring a new market where they can actually do more advertising, which is, you know, kind of that sly, underhanded, well, I wouldn't say underhanded. It's just a good move for them in general to get more exposure, to get more people who are engaged in one of their products to venture out into another realm and maybe get some new business partnerships going on. So.
Yeah, and I think you have to look at Amazon's business model, especially when it starts to focus around this sort of content. I don't think we're going to see them trying to do AAA titles in a traditional way, right? These games probably won't release at $60. No. They're probably going to be some subset of that. Maybe this MOBA game is more free to play. Maybe the other two are significantly discounted for Prime. You're going to let them, they're going to get a first shot at this. They're going to see how well they do, and then they're going to pivot and adjust. And so I expect the next iteration of these to be great, and the first iteration not to cost a lot to gamers, which I think is the most important part when you're up and coming like this and can afford to give away your product a little bit.
Right. No, I think especially since they are an advertiser first. Like for them to charge like not a lot of money for games makes a whole lot of sense. Because then you get more engagements and you have more chances to aside from just providing for gamers, some other opportunities to explore in terms of whatever it is they want to do.
Right, and I think the best possibility that could come out of all of this is maybe they learn a thing or two about how to integrate a game with Twitch, right? Yes. And they build in deeper integrations, and then they release some sort of software developer kit that lets other game companies do the same sort of development.
Right.
And so even if they don't have a blockbuster hit in a first-party one, they may have a blockbuster third-party game that has good Twitch integration.
So
it's a win-win for
them.
I
was going to say the exact same thing. It's just like a waterfall for them where even if it isn't like a knockout of the park, it may lead the way for someone else to show how that integration would work. But it's still going to fall back to them in some way or shape or form. So I feel like this foray for them is smart, to say the least. Team Envious's Overwatch team had to bow down once again as they failed to take home another trophy in the newest game to enter the eSports arena. The Overwatch Open finally wrapped up online and on TBS, with Misfits taking home the trophy and the $100,000 in prize money. All eyes turn to the second season of the competitive shooter, as the world sees if Blizzard has what it takes to sustain a competitive esports game in this day and age. Sam, is Blizzard giving Riot a run for its money, or will Overwatch end up being the next Titanfall?
Well, I think Overwatch has already planted a firm flag that it will not be the next Titanfall, right? I think Titanfall got to some level of popularity and then started trying to spin off DLC and get people integrated. You know, it's ironic that the knock against Titanfall was like, how do you build up all of this, like, you know, history and character stories for a multiplayer game? Whereas I think for Overwatch, it works great.
It does.
And so I think Blizzard's already shown us by giving free maps, giving free characters, that the bulk of how they're going to see themselves making money on this is probably in an esports arena through advertising, through maybe some custom skins or something like that. They're not going to make it the sort of thing where they're just trying to nickel dime the average player.
Right. And I think that's actually a really smart move, because by putting things into an esports arena, you kind of generate that interest that's sustainable. The major problem with a game like Titanfall is after they stopped offering things, people had no reason to go back, because there was no reason for the game to continue to be played. While in a competitive game, like in an esports game, where there is an actual competitive element or environment that's around that game, you don't necessarily have to do that much, but there are continuing to invest in that sort of game or that type of environment because it has that kind of return. Titanfall, I mean, I got it in my Xbox, and I want to look at Titanfall currently. There's no one online. It's because there's no reason to go online anymore.
Well, I think part of it is just how you design the game for it to be fun, right? Like, did I ever care that I didn't get a story for Team Fortress?
Not really.
No.
But it's still designed with purpose. That's the whole thing.
Exactly.
Where if you just throw it out there and say, I hope this baby survives in the water, and you don't really have much invested in it, then, I mean, what did you expect? Where Blizzard, this is their only first-person shooter, and they said, you know, we can invest a lot of this if we have a significant or a pretty pronounced strategy for it, which is what they did. I think Titanfall is a great game. If they would have done something along the esports line, it may not have worked out, but if the attempt was made, I think it might have maybe stayed on the market a little bit longer. It may not have caught on, but it's at least worth thinking about that for that particular company in the future.
Ubisoft is hardening up to prepare for a hostile takeover against French media conglomerate Vivendi. The company is probably best known in the games world for its previous acquisition of Activision Blizzard in 2007. But before finally liquidating its ownership in Activision Blizzard, it started acquiring shares of Ubisoft and Gameloft. Ubisoft's fears arose again after a controlling share of Gameloft was acquired, but the company was able to stave off Vivendi's move to get seats on the board. Following the unsuccessful move at the annual meeting, it seems like it's time to gear up for a possible hostile takeover. Paul, it seems like Vivendi doesn't have any idea what it's doing when it comes to game companies. Why Ubisoft? Why now?
I think because Ubisoft has lots of money with no direction.
That's a good reason.
I mean, they saw the fat pig, and then they're just like, let's go in on this. Let's see how much.
No one else is eating it now. Let's do it.
No one else is biting for it. They don't seem to be doing too much to protect their assets. Let's just go in and see if we can start things up and maybe get a piece of this pie.
Yeah, and I think when you take this into a more business context, right? Usually when some company comes in, tries to buy a controlling share of your company, tries to get some board seats, usually what they do is they come with a plan. here's my plan for how I'm going to make Ubisoft great again. I'm going to do this with Assassin's Creed. I'm going to spin off Farcry into its own thing where it's more valuable somewhere else. I'll replace some of the board members in order to, right the ship, right the direction. And that's usually enough to convince shareholders, if it's a good argument, to go with that company, right? They came and were like, we own 23%. Can I have that share?
Right.
And Ubisoft was like,
well, you were telling me before this company has a history of doing this previously, right? So, I mean, it's very clear what they're just in it for the money. And I mean, Ubisoft probably having taken notes from what happened with Activision they're probably like, no, well, fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the hard part that comes down to all this, right? Like, so with Activision, when they kind of bought back the control and they became the primary owner and had more of a direction in it, their shares tripled since that time, right? So that's a good thing. The problem is, if this company comes in and's got a lot of money and says, hey, Paul, those 30,000 shares you own, I'm going to give you twice what they're worth right now. Like, can they really expect people to be like, nah, I don't want the money. Like, just give me what I got. So I think I don't know if Ubisoft's literally in a position to stave off the fight for ownership if they come and actually make a hostile offer. Just because, worst case scenario, what did you do? You gave your shareholders an influx of money that maybe they're not seeing right now.
That's true.
So there might be some part of this where they're like, hey, Ubisoft's weak, that's why we're doing it. Not because we think we can do a better job.
True.
But maybe we can ride an upswing.
Ubisoft doesn't have foresight about what they should be doing in terms of their gaming structure. No, get out.
Just movies, dude. Just movies.
Movies. Maybe they know a lot about movies. That could be what they're on the board for.
They might.
They see them going into the movie enterprise. Hey, we may not know much.
They just want to buy Michael Fassbender.
We may not know a lot about video games, but let us tell you about our Hollywood careers. We're good to go.
I expect there to be a little bit more fighting and a little bit more news about this coming up. But honestly, I don't see a way Ubisoft's necessarily going to stave them off if they're really going to come with a legitimate hostile offer, which may or may not be good for Ubisoft at this point. I mean, it's hard to tell with what the company's been doing.
Yeah, maybe they right the ship, maybe they don't. It's time for a break where we pay the bills and see if our Ubisoft has gone up at all.
When we come back, Riot is in a writing mood. What does their open letter about the future esports mean for the future of esports? Stay tuned. You're watching the Nerdy News Roundup. This week's sponsor we wish we had is Herman Miller, or better yet, any company with a decent chair. If you've watched Twitch streams, then you've probably seen a DX Racer chair in the background of your favorite partnered streamer's face cam shot. Why would anyone take the plunge for a $300 to $400 chair that has questionable reviews when they can get a used Herman Miller Aeron chair is news to me. The Aeron has been a fan favorite by people who work in offices and conference centers, so if you know anyone at Herman Miller, tell them we sent you and beg them to give us some money, or some free Aeron chairs. And if you're DX Racer thinking, why are these jackasses dissing my product? We're more than open to doing a legitimate, unbiased review. And for our main story tonight, controversy after controversy has plagued Riot Games this year regarding its esports cash cow, League of Legends. From profitability, long-term viability, dysfunction at high ranks, to the recent spat we covered about player compensation, Riot has finally opened up through an open letter addressing its plans to address some of these concerns. Some key points of the letter go into its plan to share esports revenue streams, restructure and expand the approach to media distribution and ad sponsorship, how its plans on upping the prize pools through sales of skins, and even minimums for player guarantees serving as supplemental income. All with the goal of improving the esport for both fandom and economics, as well as overall stability. Paul, we've talked a lot about esports and League of Legends in the past. Is this a step in the right direction, or is this just par for the course?
I think this is absolutely a step in the right direction. Esports need to evolve over time, and Riot's just saying, we understand that. We see that esports can't just stay in this current state and be fine, which is good, because it's still very much in its dormancy or infancy, and obviously the evolution of sports in general has taken a very, very long time to get to a good standing point. And even now, there's still parts of it still need to tweak. But
right. I mean, it's not like your traditional, like, physical sport is a monopoly of a company who can just control everything the way Riot can control League.
Right.
And I think this is more of an adoption to say, like, look, we got to get the game down. We got to get people buying and playing this game. But we also need to make sure this league the eSports league side of this also needs to continue to survive and be viable. And I think this is what they're going towards and saying, like, look, if we're going to make LCS and these other leagues more viable, we got to do profit sharing. We've got to give people more money. We've got to do this. And that will hopefully trickle back up to more people being interested in the game, wanting to play more, maybe buying some of these championship skins. They're at a very different point than, like, you know, the NBA, where they actually have to control the game itself and the league itself.
Right. No, it's very much a pioneering industry. I'd like to say that's probably the most fitting thing you can say about esports in general, and League of Legends being the, kind of one of the preeminent esports league members. It makes a lot of sense that they're trying to say this is the map of the roadmap for what we're planning on doing in the future, so people understand exactly where it needs to go, or where they think it needs to go at least. Because it's very much a dark matter area where you're getting into a place where no one's gone. So what environment should you make? What kind of decisions do you need? Like, these are the kind of things that they're trying to address here. What needs to happen in order for this product and this specific environment to become sustainable on its own? So I think this is definitely something that's positive, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's nothing out there that was a huge red flag to me, right? Like, even the weapon skin stuff, that just makes sense, right? Like, give them a prize pool that their fans can buy into a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. What's wrong with that? That seems perfectly legit, you know? I think the thing is, like, prize pools for these kind of things are kind of a joke, right? These players a lot of them are owned by some, you know, rich, affluent figure. Their salaries are probably more than what their prize payouts could be in a given year. Mm-hmm. Like, give them some real skin in the game. The only thing that worries me about this letter is they were talking about the possibility of kind of having permanent players in the League Championship Series, which would get rid of the promotion relegation system we just talked about that Hearthstone is trying to copy. Maybe they figure out a creative way to do it, but, like, that is a much more, if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of thing for me.
Yeah. Well, again, since they're going into it with this is what we think we should be doing, it's hard to, like, fault them for that. Like, I think it's kind of a bad notion too, and I think the concept behind it is shaky. But they still got to try. Like, if things go bad, you know, it ends up being a black eye for them in one particular area. But everything else, I think, kind of, like, weighs it out. But maybe we could be wrong in that regard too. Like, there's a chance that those high-end players may have to, like, have some kind of off-season competitive match where they have to maintain their spots, like beta testers at large companies or something like that. But we don't know. We won't know until we actually see how that part actually plays out. So it's definitely for all of it. I mean, there's no part of that's not wait and see, but for that part too, it's wait and see. But I'm glad they're saying something about it. They're not just saying, we're just going to let this go and see how this plays out.
Yeah, they're not saying, like, we're the leaders in esports, fuck you.
Yeah,
they're saying,
we'll
like,
do whatever we want.
Hey, we want to listen to our fans, both fans who are competitive gamers and fans who are just enjoy watching it. Like, yeah, we want to make sure you're all taken care of so we can keep raking in the cash in the future.
That's
what every company should be trying to do anyway.
That's the bottom line, isn't it? We need the money.
Yeah.
If this is the way you guys will give us the money, sure. Why not? Okay. We're going to do that then. We find a way to give us the money.
So if I do everything you ask me, I'll make more money? Okay, yes. Let's do that.
If only every company was so simple.
Do you think Riot's eSports open letter spells change for League of Legends? Let us know in the comments below. Can't get enough of nerd culture? Then check out all the great content we have on the Nerdy Nights YouTube channel. Join me and Eric on Couch Co-op Confidential as we stream couch co-op games. We've currently gone retro and are playing Secret of Mana on our SNES controllers. Mike and I have just picked up the Stick of Truth and are saving South Park from Nazi zombies. Check out Let's Play Podcast for a whole new way to Let's Play. And don't forget to join us on Twitch at nerdy_nights, where I'm currently making my way through the Rocksmith 2014 60-day challenge. You can see me fail at all your classic rock favorites. And when Eric gets his base, you can see multiplayer failures as well. Click the links below for all this great content and more.
And now for everyone's favorite segment of the week, we turn to our lightning round where we answer the age-old question, does this matter? VReal wants to be Twitch for virtual reality, but not the way you think. Instead of watching gamers fumble around with headsets giving you a headache, it wants you to put on a headset and plant yourself as a virtual camera in the game environment. Sam, Gen X can't understand why people enjoy watching video gamers anyway. Will virtual reality gaming make their heads explode?
I think so. Probably. I mean, they're getting to that age. No, I'm just kidding. So I think this does matter, because when I first looked at this and saw this headline, I was like, why do you need a different version of Twitch to watch virtual reality? Then I was like, wait. They want you to be a character, stay in the game, and move around? That makes a lot of sense for me. In fact, that's what I think MOBAs should move towards for higher engagement when people are watching, like, the League Championship Series, right? So I think this does matter. I'm very excited. I think their success will be completely dependent on whether game developers want to allow this technology to operate.
That's true. I think it matters, but maybe not as much as you. I think it matters in the fact that it's definitely something new and it's definitely something original. I'm not sure how fly cameras, or if it's fly-by-wire cameras where you can go around from place to place looking at things. I'm not sure how well people will be open to that at the end of the day. Especially if you put me on the head of a Lamborghini while someone is playing Forza. In which case, I will probably throw up all over the place at the thought of a 200-mile-per-hour accident.
That'll be fun to watch.
No, it won't.
Another week, another prediction proven true by the Nerdy Knights. Steam customer reviews are changing yet again. They aren't ditching the default filter for keys, but helpful reviews will show up regardless of what the filter says. Paul, is Steam just ironing out the kinks? Or are they fixing something that isn't broken?
I think they're ironing out the kinks. I think this does matter because reviews are very important when we're talking about gaming purchases, and having someone else's experience and perspective on gaming come to the forefront as opposed to just overall was this bought. This is a very different thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they already do some things right? Like, I like the fact that they have an overall review score and a recent review score to see if patches shake it up. This thing with the keys, I don't wholly agree with. I think they can either take it further, like we said last time, but I do like the fact that helpful reviews surface to the top. Yes. I mean, to me, that's the same thing Amazon should do. And it is one of the attributes Amazon was trying out for a while. They were like, all right, if you're buying headphones or you're buying speakers and you want to know about the bass, let me show you reviews about bass. And then you can select ones about power consumption if you're doing, the noise canceling stuff. So you can get all these features. I'd like to see Steam kind of have that. It's like helpful because it talks about the gameplay, helpful because it gives me tips or whatever, right? Yeah. Again, I think moving in the right direction, maybe they can do more.
Well, if there's anything that's guaranteed in life, it's death and taxes. And if you're an American, frivolous lawsuits. Over 72 FTC complaints have been filed regarding the mobile game Pokemon, related to things from Pokestops at hospitals, Gmail access, and blocking third-party apps. Sam, Americans may have the right to make hay, but can we put these guys out to pasture?
We need to put them out to pasture where there are no Pokestops anywhere around. That would be perfect punishment for this. Clearly, this doesn't matter. Frivolous complaints. I mean, here's the thing. I get it. There's some things that the game didn't deliver on fully, or they might have ruined your experience a little bit. That's what everyone has happening. Let's look at Sean Murray. Let's look at the problems that they're having.
Can you find Sean Murray? I heard he's been gone into hiding.
Just throw the Pokeball out there. You need a master ball to catch it. These complaints, while valid, are not a reason that anyone should have a lawsuit. Pokemon doesn't need to change much. It's fine. This is just people making hay.
I actually 100% agree in this case. This is much ado about nothing. This is completely does not matter. It does not matter at all. People just like making noise about things for no reason. I think, being involved in something that everyone, I want to complain about this. Oh yeah, me too. It's just something that people do. Why they do it, I don't get. But I don't think it's going to make a bit of difference for Pokemon. I don't think it's making a bit of difference for them after the 5 minutes where they make these complaints and then forget about it to go eat stew or something. It's completely worthless.
Price discrimination is illegal unless your game just sucks too much for anyone to care. Another $60 retail game is going free to play as Battleborn's publisher, Gearbox, is rumored to be making the change in November. Paul, will free to play bring you back to the acid trip FPS MOBA?
Hell no. There's not even a small chance. I'm not even sure this matters because I mean, as someone who played the beta for this game and was very much looking forward to it and said hell no after I got to it, making it free, since I already played it for free, isn't going to change my mind. It's the game itself that I can't take. And I'm almost 100% sure I'm not alone because the person I was playing with while I was playing this said pretty much the exact same thing. So,
yeah. I mean, in one sense, I think it does matter just because I feel like we're starting to see game companies maybe figure out what the market for their game really is. Maybe free to play with some add-on components to make the extra money is the best way to go if they want longevity. And like AAA titles that for companies that you're going to believe in, like Destiny 2 doesn't need to be free to play. People are going to give them money. It's going to happen. It's fine. But if it's just like some random startup company, like maybe free to play is a viable way. You can't just throw shit out there and expect people to want to give you money.
You know, I like Borderlands. They made the same company. I maybe just not betting on companies is what you're. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if they came out with a version of this and it was just Borderlands, they might be able to more well justify a price point and not have to worry about going free to play. But
yeah, maybe game approach is the issue here.
Yeah.
Okay. When Ubisoft announced the annual cycle for Far Cry and Assassins was ending, it was generally believed that in 2017 would spell the return for these games. But following the interview with Tommy Francois, Ubisoft's VP of editorial, IGN reported that the Super Blunt executives said they were going for alpha for 1 year, more quality, and more polish before release. And that meant not having the game in 2017, fuck it. Sam, will this much-needed break spell success for Ubisoft?
I think there's a really good shot that the things that they're putting in place now will result in better games, people more happy at launch, and hopefully eventually more money for them. I mean, we see this now with Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, but we've already seen them push back Division. We've seen them more recently push back South Park, Fractured But Whole. I think if Ubisoft is legitimately taking its time, ensuring a good game experience at release, I mean, we talked about the the For Honor Alpha. That seemed to be great. So I think we're at a point where maybe they're trying to get back to roots, do it the right way. So I absolutely think this matters.
I think it matters because I think they've heard what people are saying. When we said that Assassin's Creed in Paris was garbage, and then they released the same game only remade in England the next year and saying it was a different game, and people are like, what the hell? I think the writing was on the wall then. And I think that this shows that, okay, probably their bottom line numbers more than anything else. It was the indication that Syndicate or that Assassin's Creed needed to be reworked in terms of strategy. I think they heard that loud and clear, probably hit him at the pockets, and now they're actually going through the motions, like you said in that regard. Like, let's slow down. Let's not worry about like trying to meet some ridiculous deadline for a game that people are going to hate. And then when we say we're going to release another one next year, well, this one's going to be better. We're going to make up for it. We deliver on none of those promises.
Yeah.
Then I think they're finally getting it.
Yeah. And let's really hope people watch our movie.
Dear Lord, really Michael Fassbender, you're going to save movies.
Can't even get through that statement without laughing at it.
No game, but a movie. I think it might work. It's hard. Maybe it's a possibility. I don't know.
The newest Destiny expansion just launched, and the biggest news is about Destiny 2. That's right, this week a rumor cooperated by developers familiar with Bungie's plans suggested that Destiny 2 would launch on PC alongside consoles. Paul, the story was originally broken with some kind of like water cooler chatter, but it was later confirmed by inside sources that Kotaku had. So what does PC mean for Destiny 2?
I think bringing Destiny to PC is probably the best thing that can happen to that franchise, honestly. I think the main reason it wasn't on PC in the first place was the fact that it was developed for 4 systems. And I think they actually said something about that where like there's just no way they could have done that and PC at the same time and not sacrifice even more quality than they already did. So now 2 of those systems are out of the equation, and I mean there's obviously going to be on current generation consoles, PS4 and Xbox One. Maybe it'll be on the Scorpio, but no one knows what the Scorpio is.
Stop it.
I gotta get my Scorpio digs in. I gotta get my Scorpio digs in because I don't think the thing exists. Well, I'm sorry. They might make it for PS4, the Xbox, and a unicorn, as well as the PC. So,
I think this matters. I think Destiny's already has a pretty decent track record of proving that they're able to make good games. They're able to help keep things going alongside their, fans. The only problem they really have is the fact that there's such a long cycle between stuff that they're releasing. They can't really stop that. But maybe that's better. You don't want people getting burned out on your game.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, it might end up just being 2 consoles by the end of this, right? Like, you do the universal Windows version, and then you do the PS4 Pro HD whatever with Jizzle, and then that's it. And then you've got your product out there. I mean, I think more stuff will have to be seen on how things like crossplay will work and cross buying and seeing just generally what it is. But for an ecosystem where competitive Destiny, like, I think the worst thing they could do is take Destiny 2 and be like, we want to make competitive multiplayer really competitive.
Yeah.
That would suck. But if they don't do that, I think it's a brilliant move.
Yeah, I agree.
As the show comes to a close, it's time for Meme of the Week. This week's meme comes to us from Bungie artists and Amazon.com. D is for Destiny is a charming children's book teaching you the alphabet and what the heck an engram is. Here are some sneak peek pages, like A is for Adventure. Amazing new worlds where warlocks, titans, and hunters can play together as one, saving the day. B is for Be Brave, for adventures both big and small. Beyond the Wall. Believe in yourself and become legend. Or C is for Cabal, or rhino-like beasts, colossal bullies to say the least. And finally, D is for Destiny, where darkness creeps. From here to the moon, Venus, and Mars, we carve our destiny among the stars. If you have any idea for next week's Meme of the Week, be sure to tweet us at nerdy_nights. And that's it for this week's Nerdy News Roundup. Don't let us go the way of Ubisoft annual games. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
I'm Paul Mooney.
And I'm Sam Chen.
Join us again next week, because the last thing the world needed was another nerdy news show, but you tuned in anyways.